Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today to our exclusive webinar, How to Engage Centers of Influence with Business Valuation. Today, we'll be joined by BizEquity's CRO, Jason Early, and he's going to discuss how our top advisors are using the BizEquity platform to engage with centers of influence. Remember that if you're registered for the webinar, we'll automatically send you a recording. So if at any time you need to hop off, you'll get a recording of the full webinar in your inbox. Now let's get started. Take it away, Jason.
Thank you, Grace, and appreciate everyone carving out some time for us this afternoon. And we promise to have you out of here by 2:30. So very much looking forward to kind of walking through how our users are using the platform to engage with their centers of influence using our platform. And so we're going to talk a little bit at the onset about the opportunity in the business owner marketplace, and then from there we'll move into kind of how folks are using it to engage with their centers of influence. So there's $13.2 trillion of business owner wealth that's going to transfer over the next decade, and that's up from just $6.3 trillion 10 years ago. So as you can see, obviously as baby boomers, right, who own businesses, we heard the stat that 31 out of 33 million businesses in the States today are owned by baby boomers. As they continue to build wealth in their businesses, they're obviously going to need to transition that over the next decade. And so when you look at the $60 trillion from these three areas that baby boomers will have to invest, it's their homes, it's their 401ks, and it's their business. And so there's a tremendous opportunity for those that work in the business owner space to help baby boomers transition their business over the next decade and capture this $60 trillion opportunity. And again, we at BizEquity are narrowly focused on the business portion of those three areas, but very much look forward to helping our advisors and subscribers capture on that opportunity. So when you think about business valuation at its core and kind of the opportunity for advisors in the space, here are some of the facts and some of the scary facts that we at BizEquity talk about all the time, which is 98% of privately held companies don't value themselves or don't know what their business is worth. Yet 78% of those businesses plan to fund their retirement through the sale of their business. So when you stop and you think about that for a second, the boomers are saying, I plan to fund my retirement through the sale of my business. I just don't know what my business is worth, and so in turn, what my retirement's going to look like. So that's a scary proposition, something that these business owners need to figure out over the next decade, and it's critical that those that serve them are there to help and can provide insights around the value of their business. Just as scary is 40% of business owners have no life insurance, and half of those that do are underinsured. So there's a tremendous opportunity to help business owners understand their business value and then protect that value from an insurance standpoint as well. And so some other facts that we know that create a great opportunity for those in the advice business are 60% of businesses don't work with a financial advisor. So if 4 in 10 businesses work with a financial advisor, there's a tremendous opportunity in calling on this space to engage with those businesses around the value of their business. And this comes from a LIMRA study, but it says consumers today, right, are more confused than ever by financial planning. So what happens is, and they did this, they did some testing around this, but you know, advisors and accountants and bankers alike, you know, they show up with to the business owner and they use these complex graphs and illustrations and kind of industry jargon, and consumers nod along, but at the end of the meeting, they don't act, right? So we're all confused when they don't take action, but it's because they're confused by what we're talking about. And so it's critical today for those that work with business owners to be able to communicate clearly and effectively the knowledge and the insights that they have and how they can help the business owner. And so there's a lot of issues facing a business owner, let's face it, right? When you look at what the business owner has going on, these are a number of issues, right? And there's very certainly more, but think about succession plan and their benefits and their risk management and their retirement plan, their personal financial plan, personal planning for their employees, payroll, et cetera, et cetera. So these are all issues that a business owner is thinking about on a day-to-day basis. And I said the stat earlier, but 6 in 10 aren't working with a financial advisor, so there's nobody quarterbacking this decision making for the business owner. And so we're going to talk today an awful lot about centers of influence and how advisors can use centers of influence to drive new business. But just having an understanding of all the issues that a business owner faces is critical, because the more problems that you solve for a business owner, the more valuable you become to them. And that does not mean that you, as the advisor, need to be an expert in all of those areas. But as long as, again, you can quarterback it and bring people together to solve their problems. And again, these are oftentimes complex problems, but as long as you can quarterback it and bring the people together, you're deeply ingratiating yourself with that business owner. And again, that's super helpful when you think about, from a practice standpoint, client retention and client turnover and things like that. And look, we know how difficult it is for you all to bring on new clients, right? So the old kind of industry standard is 10-3-1, right? That it takes 10 meetings to get 3 prospects to ultimately bring on 1 client. And so if you're going to work that hard to bring on new clients, it makes an awful lot of sense for us in our minds for that to be in the business owner marketplace, where there's several revenue stream opportunities versus kind of in executive financial planning or just personal financial planning, where there may only be 1 or 2 kind of revenue streams per client. So if you can build more revenue streams and increase the revenue kind of per client by working in the business owner marketplace, you're greatly enhancing the value of your practice. And so again, if you're going to work this hard to bring on new clients, it makes an awful lot of sense for it to be in the business owner marketplace today. And again, we've talked a lot about the opportunity, but this one says it all, which is there's 64 businesses for every 1 advisor in the U.S. And so there's plenty of market opportunity for advisors who are calling on businesses in this marketplace. And we're just seeing advisors, be it in wealth management, in the insurance space, and everybody's starting to be kind of more comprehensive financial planning, but accountants and bankers alike, right? Everybody is kind of swarming the business owner today. And we've long said that, right, people don't change when they see the light, they change when they feel the heat. And we think that now, with baby boomers approaching retirement in this next decade of this $13.2 trillion transfer, people are feeling the heat. And so you're seeing that and when you're seeing all this attention that's being paid to the business owner today. And so we're going to talk for the next 15 minutes or so about how to use business valuation to really engage deeply with your centers of influence. And so, look, we all know that relationships are about trust. This is a great quote from Stephen Covey that says, "Trust is the glue of life. It is the most essential ingredient in effective communication. It's the foundational principle that holds all relationships." And so we certainly believe that at BizEquity, but when you think about your practice and your best clients, my guess is that there's a trust relationship there. And that doesn't happen over 1 meeting, 2 meetings, 3 meetings. And so trust is very important to build, but it takes time. And so what the very best in the financial services business do is they leverage trust, right? So I'm going to leverage trust relationships in kind of a one-to-many approach, right? So if I have centers of influence, be it accountants, estate planning attorneys, a benefits broker, a property and casualty broker, people that kind of are adjacent to the business owner or provide different services than you, you're going to leverage that trust, right? Because if that center of influence has the trust of 30, 50, 100, couple hundred clients, you can leverage that trust relationship, provided you do that and build a trust relationship with that center of influence. And so when we think about the business owner ecosystem, right, there's a lot of people that surround the business owner. The accountant very typically is kind of the de facto trust relationship for the business owner at the onset, because number one, they have to have an accountant, and 2, the accountant kind of has to know all of their financial data. But as time progresses, right, and more people come into the fold, oftentimes there's an opportunity for other advisors to kind of gain that trust. And so, again, very typically, the financial advisor, once they're in the picture, they're quarterbacking all of these affairs for the business owner. But again, we know that only 4 in 10 businesses work with a financial advisor. So that's a scary proposition for the 60% that don't. And so that, again, that speaks to the opportunity that you all have in the business owner marketplace. And so if you can build trust relationships with these type of centers of influence who have existing business owner clients, we think that there's an opportunity for you to win and for you to win big. And so we talk a lot about borrowed trust. There's a white paper that we're going to send out at the conclusion of this webinar with the recording of this webinar, but we encourage you to read and embrace some of the practices in our white paper that talks about the power of borrowed trust. But when you think about borrowed trust, that's just leveraging your centers of influence's existing relationships. And so you can reach out to your clients and advisors and their business connections to leverage that trust. So again, if you have existing center of influence relationships, we're going to talk about some strategies of how you can use that and why you should use those relationships again to gain traction. But separately, right, the COI relationships, there's a lot that you can have, right? So there's a lot of people when you go back to that ecosystem that surround the business owner. And so whether it's the business's accountant, whether it's their risk management advisor, their benefits or 401k broker, their banker, their attorney, all of these professional services, right, provide great services to the business owner and have those business owner relationships. So if you as an advisor, right, it's our belief that you should cultivate relationships with somebody in each of those verticals, right? Because somebody in each of those verticals has very tight relationships with business owners. And again, if you can leverage that trust relationship that they have, you can use that trust, right, to provide advice. And so we'll talk about 3 key strategies that we think make sense, right? So number 1 is present your value prop, right, as a potential BizEquity subscriber, right? If you subscribe to the BizEquity platform and have the ability to deliver valuations in real time on your own white label, you want to present that as part of your overall value proposition. So we encourage you, and we're going to talk through each of these 3 strategies, but we encourage you to set meetings with your existing centers of influence and re-deliver your value prop to them, right? And ultimately to their clients. Number 2 is what we call the 10 by 10. We'll talk through what that looks like, and 3 is a center of influence event. And so let's first look at kind of presenting your value prop. So again, if you subscribe to BizEquity, you now have your own white label, and you have the ability to deliver valuations in real time on your own white label to business owners. Why wouldn't you take this to all of your center of influence relationships? So let's use an accounting firm as an example. Imagine sitting down for a presentation with an accounting firm and your center of influence who probably has hundreds, if not thousands of business owner clients, and just saying, hey, I want to take you through a demonstration of this platform and how we walk our business owner clients through this process to deliver them an understanding of value. And look, we believe that it's important for the business owner to understand their value for several reasons. Number 1, from a financial planning standpoint. Number 2, from a succession planning standpoint. Number 3, from a risk management standpoint. Number 4, from a capital structure standpoint, right? And just walk them through all of these areas as to why it's important for the business owner to understand the value of their business. Show them your ability to do that in real time on the BizEquity platform, and then ultimately the output and what that looks like. And if you walk them through the output, right, which is that 29-page business valuation report that goes through why valuation is important, a little bit on our methodology, 4 different conclusions of value on the business, and then a dozen different KPIs or key performance indicators, you'll be amazed at how quickly the light bulb goes off and that accountant or that center of influence of yours says, well, gosh, I know this is great for this client, but I have 3 or 4 other clients that ought to go through this process just the same. And so again, not only is that high quality referrals and introductions, but you're leveraging that trust relationship that accounting firm already has with that business owner. So it's very different than you calling that business owner direct, rather than their accountant saying, hey, John and Mary, business owner, I want to pull you through this business valuation process so we can get an accurate understanding of your business value. And my relationship here at ABC Financial is going to do that with us, right? And so you're already at the onset of that relationship in a position of strength. And so representing your value prop once you have access to the BizEquity platform to your center of influence relationships is an incredible strategy, right? So it's a high impact strategy to not only take this to your business owner clients, but direct to your center of influence relationships to walk them through your capability and how you have the ability to do this. Number two, being that we know centers of influence can be so powerful and they can create such powerful introductions for you, we want you as an advisor or a subscriber to BizEquity to drive more center of influence relationships. So think about it. You already have existing centers of influence relationships, but we want you to have more. And so when you think about how you can use the BizEquity platform to drive more of those relationships, it makes sense, right? When you think about going through the 7 steps on the BizEquity platform, you have the ability to delegate. So I can, as a business owner or the advisor, I can delegate the data entry to a third party. Oftentimes, business owners will delegate that to their CPA or their accountant. Well, that's a great opportunity to introduce yourself to that third party or that potential center of influence. And so we encourage all of our subscribers to go on what we call their 10 by 10, an introduction campaign. They're going to take the BizEquity software and their ability to deliver valuations to their top 10 business owner clients. They're going to pull them through the 7 steps. They may engage with the accounting firm or another center of influence during that process. But if not, they're going to ask the business owner permission, or they're going to ask the business owner for an introduction to their accountant so that they can truly quarterback all of their financial affairs on behalf of the business owner. But what the advisor is doing is they're creating a warm intro to another potential center of influence, because now that you have one shared client, again, you're going to go through the same process. You're going to walk that new relationship through your ability to provide valuations as a service. And you're gonna open up again another potential relationship for you to drive new business into your practice. And so we think that that's incredibly powerful, right? Which is taking this to your top business owner clients and then asking for an introduction to their accounting firms and further developing other potential COIs. The third and probably most impactful, in our opinion, strategy is to do a center of influence event. And so this event for advisors would not have any business owners or prospects or clients in the room. Rather, this is an event geared towards other advisors to business owners. So very certainly you don't want to include other people in your same vertical. But again, if you go back to that business owner ecosystem and you think about the accountants, the bankers, the attorneys, the benefits and 401k brokers, the risk management consultants, if I'm a financial advisor, right, and I want to play quarterback for the business owner on all their financial affairs, I'd like to have specialists in all those different verticals. And so look, we at BizEquity think it's very powerful to run an event. And maybe this happens on a biannual basis or an annual basis or something like that. But the best time to plan an event is starting right now. And so if you put together an event and you're going to bring all those verticals together, we think it's incredibly impactful to talk about your ability to deliver valuations as a service, right? And walk through why it's important for the business owner to understand the value of their business, but why it's important for each and every one of them in the room, right? Regardless of the vertical they're in, why it's important for them to understand their business owner client's value as well, and how that positively impacts them. So it's a great opportunity to get like-minded people in a room, all that serve the business owner, all with different specialties, but to walk through the importance of business valuation and then how you and your firm, again, as a subscriber to BizEquity, can deliver on that promise. So again, it's incredibly impactful to have a room full of people that serve the business owner talking about how you can help deepen their relationship with their business owner client. And again, you as the advisor can serve as the quarterback on all of those affairs. Because here's the important thing, right, which is having an understanding of the business valuation, right, which again, we know that only 2% of business do. It's an on-ramp for all things for the small business owner, right? What we said at the onset in BizEquity's founding was how could a business owner make any critical decisions for their business, be it, am I properly capitalized? How does this affect my estate plan? Perhaps I want to sell the business. Am I properly insured? Do I have enough money? Right? All of these things, right, are critical questions that need to be answered for the business owner, but none of which can properly be answered if you don't know the value of the business. And so again, regardless of the products and services that you provide to the business owner, business valuation is that on-ramp, and it's the best way to engage with the business owner, because what we all know is business owners are bombarded on a daily basis with phone calls from everybody that serves them, really, right? Talking about their portfolio, or is it properly diversified, their estate plan, their risk management, the rates on loans, all these things, right? They're fighting off phone calls on all these areas, but what they're not hearing is, has somebody walked you through an accurate understanding quickly and cheaply of the value of your business? And the answer to that is no, and you now have the ability to do that. You can do that on a one-to-many approach, using their centers of influence to borrow trust and leverage trust to enter into those relationships, right? It just starts you on solid ground. And so, why is it that most center of influence relationships fail? Look, it's no secret that advisors very typically are kind of on to the next, and they don't have the patience to really build deep relationships with center of influence, because they're always chasing kind of the next client. But when done correctly, right, if you cultivate relationships and you build powerful center of influence relationships, you drastically improve your ratios of that 10-3-1 that we looked at earlier. You're starting the conversation with a business owner by leveraging and borrowing that trust. You very certainly condense that cycle, or the length of time in which it takes you as the advisor to build trust. So most center of influence relationships fail because it's value one way, right? An advisor comes in, they start a relationship because they have a joint client. The advisor may get referred to 2 or 3 other clients, and then boom, they're on to the next. And there's not a two-way value exchange. And so, how do you do this properly? Look, we believe that there has to be a two-way value exchange for a center of influence relationship to really prosper and grow. And so we think, using the BizEquity platform is one way to do that. So again, if you're an advisor and you're now offering to do complimentary valuations, right, using the software for all of that accountant's business owner clients, think about that. From the accountant's perspective, that's an incredible value add. If I can now offer valuations to my clients, right, which they've probably asked me for in the past, and I, as the accountant, have said, happy to do this for you, or refer you to somebody that can do it. It's going to cost $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. It's going to take 4 to 6 weeks. It's highly intrusive, and so what's the result? That doesn't happen, and the business owner's left not knowing the value of their business. Well, now with the BizEquity platform, they can find it out quickly and cheaply, right, and complimentary this way, right? And it's an incredible win for the accountant, because they can offer these valuations to their clients through the advisor. So that's one way to create a two-way value exchange, where now the advisor's winning because they're borrowing trust, they're getting introductions into these new business owner clients. The accountant wins because they're able to offer their business owner client a new resource that they otherwise couldn't. And the client wins because they're able to understand the value of their business and have access to better, more sound advice. Because the reality is they weren't getting great advice prior to knowing the value of their business. So that's a win-win-win, and we've created a two-way value exchange. Second is compensation, right? Compensation drives behavior. And so if you're able to align your centers of influence with you as the advisor, and you can compensate them, whether it's a referral fee or a percentage of business on transactions done, or whatever the case might be, that aligns the center of influence and the advisor together, and kind of creates a deeper relationship, or sets the foundation for a much longer and better relationship. But look, we know that business owners crave an understanding of their value, right? They just haven't had a proper way to understand it before. And so when you think about why only 2% of businesses know their value, and I kind of alluded to this before, but it's incredibly expensive, it's very slow, and it's done offline. And so the value prop is broken for the business owner, right? But we know that It's also broken, right, for the providers of valuation. If I'm an accounting firm or a valuation firm, I have to charge that much money because it takes me so many man hours to get through a valuation. And so the value proposition is broken. And that's why we at BizEquity set out to democratize business valuation knowledge for the business owner by putting valuation online and putting it in the hands of those that serve the business owner. So, we love this quote, which is, don't simply ask, how new tech can help you do what you do better, but ask what new tech can let you do that you could never do before. So accountants, right, are starting to understand this and see, well, gosh, the old way of doing things, perhaps this allows us to scale, our practice or our ability to do this. And advisors are starting to work very closely with accountants and centers of influence, providing this as a service to the business owner clients that they share and clients that they properly should share. And so we're seeing some great success of advisors on our platform, right, who use our Success Center to market, right, the BizEquity software. So in our Success Center are things like, top 10 reasons for valuations, all of our white papers, slide decks on business valuation. So if you're doing an event like we talked about, we have slide decks in there that you can just plug and play and use. But advisors are doing a great job of marketing this direct to business owners, but also sending these materials to their center of influence relationship. So send these to your center of influences, right? And what they're going to do is they're going to start marketing it and driving access, right? So their business owner clients, right? It'll drive demand. Sorry, that was the word I was looking for, right? They're going to drive demand when they're using the marketing materials to their business owner clients as well. So not only do you want to market this direct, you want to use this to use the marketing materials for your center of influence as well. And so, look, if you're not working with business owners today, we believe that you should and that we make it easy. So you ought to let us help, right? When we talked at the onset about the opportunity, this $13.2 trillion opportunity isn't going anywhere, but people are swarming to it. And so we created this playbook, right, which is a 50-day sprint, and it's a guide for our subscribers on how to win in the business owner marketplace on the first 50 days of using our platform. So it literally outlines step by step over 50 days what you need to do to ensure success and ensure ROI using the BizEquity platform. And one of the things that we're most proud about, right, is the ROI that our subscribers and the users of our platform see while using the platform, right? So we're a subscription as a service business. It's a fixed subscription fee. But as you can see, we've pulled 3 examples here, and you can go to www.bizequity.com/Hall of Fame and see some of our Hall of Fame members. But we get emails literally every single day from subscribers telling us about success stories. As you can see, Jim Urban, this was over 5 different business owners, but gathered $100 million of assets under management, and some other examples here. And so it's the ROI that people are getting using the BizEquity platform, using BizEquity to engage with centers of influence is truly powerful. And so, look, we very much appreciate you spending some time with us today. We'd love to hear from you. My contact information is on the slide right now. My email is just jason@bizequity.com. Again, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to walk you through a demonstration of our platform and show you how people are using valuation as a service, not only to engage with business owners on a different level, but how to really deepen their relationships with their centers of influence and build new centers of influence relationships to drive new business into their practice. And so, again, we're very proud of the success that we've had with subscribers on our platform, and we'd love to grow that network and community. So we appreciate you carving out 30 minutes with us today. As promised, you'll get the white paper and a recording of this webinar as a follow-up, and we sure hope to hear from you and would love the opportunity to work with you. Thanks very much.